What's up out there, everybody? David Cravens with the Relentless Hope podcast. When I go to get a new pair of sunglasses, there's only one sunglasses I choose, and that's Neven Eyewear. We're a proud affiliate and sponsored by them, and that's all you'll see us wearing. They're ready for land, air, or sea. If you break them or lose them, they replace them. Go there today, neveneyewear.com. More choices than you can shake a stick at. So don't forget, Neven Eyewear.
Riding with my lady and I'm feeling pretty good. Still pushing hope from
Do
the
that if somebody needs your kid. I think I would.
I do it for you. Man, I don't know, man. That's gangster.
But
You
look,
got two of
even if
them.
you won't do it while you're alive, everybody
I'll give
organ
anything.
donor.
They can have
100%.
anything when
You'd
I'm
be
gone.
crazy
Listen.
at how many
Hey,
people
this is bad
are
one right
not
Heck yeah.
donors.
I made my 16-year-old.
They
We
can have
went and
my
took her
parcel
for a
plate.
driving
They
test.
check, yeah.
She was like, "No,
This is
Mom,
amazing.
I don't want to do that." And I was like, "Nevaeh,
Yeah.
listen,
Oh, I love her name.
it's heaven backwards."
Heaven
Yeah.
backwards.
Oh,
I was
But
like,
she's held on wheels.
She
She did get
She
in a
must
car
be
accident.
16.
She is.
There we go.
She might 6 now.
That's
She's
right.
gold. She got in a car accident.
Oh,
the other
Okay,
day.
wait,
Yeah.
I'm finishing my story.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Quiet
baby.
time for you,
Well,
big boy.
man,
So then,
shut up,
so
Dan.
she
I gotta
was like,
shut
"I
up.
don't want to do that." I'm like, "You don't need them. You're gonna
Yeah.
be dead." And there's somebody that does. And
Right.
she's like, "Okay, Mom, you're
That's
right."
morbid,
So
but
she changed
true.
it. I was like, "Change that."
Oh,
awesome.
So she got it. on
It's
her.
so important.
Are you
And,
kidding
Oh, yeah.
you know, it's
So,
like,
Oh.
so you're married. You made the trip down here.
Yep.
Every bowl place there is, there'll be links for Nautical Bowls, socials. If you're in Naples, get it. There are going to
Come
be other
see
locations.
us.
I know eventually.
Yes.
It's amazing, and I'm not just saying that. It really is. Like I was so full from that.
oh,
So go check them out.
there's actually one that just opened in Marco Island
Right.
as well. And it's actually a Miami Dolphin who
Mm.
opened that one because
Oh.
he loves how filling those bowls
Oh,
are.
they're no
Yeah.
good.
And like before games and all of that stuff, I'm like, oh, I love that. So I like to plug that it's
Right.
not
Put the
just
plug
us
in.
that
Right.
are trying to get
Yeah,
healthy,
that's
but it's
good.
others.
Shout out.
And he's originally from Minnesota too, right?
I don't know if he is or not.
I think
But-
that's how he got.
But it might
introduced to
be.
them, But
He
yeah.
might be.
All
Anyways.
right, so let's get to the kidney. So what
Oh,
I was getting to, you guys.
He's got to bring us back.
you-
Let's do
ADD.
it.
You get,
Let's
well, no,
do it.
what I was getting. If I don't, we won't
We
get
won't.
to it. And I even led up to a big buildup
It
before.
was really
I
good,
did that
too.
because we'll clip part
Okay.
1 and part
Yeah.
2.
It was
So
really
now
good.
you see, because then I'll go. Let's get into the kidney story, and that's how the first part will
I
end,
see.
and then it'll make them come back and
So
watch
smart.
it.
He
Big
is.
brain.
But what I'm doing is I want to get it because it's crazy when you start talking and
Yeah.
you're like, oh my gosh, because your
Yeah.
story. But what I wanted to get in is that you guys got married. I know we're squishing them fast,
Yeah.
and then you made the bowl thing all the
Yep.
way down to here to
Mhm.
open it up.
Yep. And
Yes.
but the kidney actually happened back
Yeah,
in
that's-
2015.
yeah,
actually a
so
little
let's-
tattoo
so-
here, so I can't forget the
Tell us
difference.
about the
That's
kidney
pretty
story.
cool.
'cause
So this is a God thing, all
Okay.
God, all day. So my 11-year-old was born with a traumatic brain injury. They told me she never walk, eat, drink, or do anything on her own.
Oh,
She
man.
is now. You've seen her
Yeah.
chilling around on her
Oh,
rollerblades.
she was on roller skates. She's
Wow.
doing
She
pretty
works
That
at
damn
the
is-
good.
store. She brings up
She-
customers.
Oh,
I
I've
know,
seen
it's
her.
like
I've
a
seen her.
mom.
Yes.
Like you would not believe, and it was a long journey
Mm.
to get there.
Wow.
But God has healed her, and it's amazing. Why I bring that up is because she was 1 year old. She still was not able to do anything a normal 1-year-old would do. She
Right.
basically slept and had seizures.
Wow.
And I was running a company, and I see this Facebook post from this woman's prayer group I was a part of that said there's this 20-year-old Marine who is in desperate need of a kidney, and none of his family's a match, and he needs your help. And
Right.
so I did what most people do: share,
Right.
shared,
Share.
did, prayed, please God, find him a donor. I literally prayed
Right.
that.
Right,
Please,
right.
find him a donor. Walk away, you're the donor. Like I hear it. I'm like, money.
Right.
I'm just gonna take care of my kid and do these
Yes.
things. And so like a couple weeks go on and I kept praying for his name is Drew. And I shared his thing a few times and I just kept having it on my heart. You're supposed to donate. I'm like, how in the world could I possibly, number one, I didn't even know you could do living organ donation
Right.
Yeah.
before this post.
Right.
And I'm like, I've got this child that I'm taking care of full time, running a business full time, doing all the other things. There's no possible way that I can, and I'm not going to be a match anyways,
Right.
right?
Wow.
So God just will not let this be. So I was fine. Fine. I will put the blood in. I'll call. I call. No one returns my calls. I'm like, okay, God, I did my
I did
part.
Right.
I tried. So a couple more weeks goes on and it's like, reach out. So there's a number for Drew. I didn't know it was Drew's number,
Right.
but turns out to be Drew's number. And I text and I said, I've been trying to get in touch with this person. They're not calling me back. And they respond back, okay, well, we'll check. So I finally get a call back and I go in and do the blood and I am indeed a preliminary match.
Wow.
And so I was pretty shocked. And then it was kind of a reality of like, am I really going to do this?
Right.
You know, and so I had to talk to my significant other at that point in time and you know, my oldest daughter and just kind of, and everybody's like, no, you shouldn't, except for my significant other. He was really supportive of it. Like I couldn't believe how supportive. And so we all decide I'm going to move forward. And so then you have to go through some more in-depth testing.
Right.
Well, I'm going to do this testing, you guys, and I'm telling you, God is in this all over the place.
Oh, for sure.
And when I found out it was Drew, we never talked on the phone. I just knew that it was his phone number because he had let me know. God would like say this verse, send it to Drew. And he would never respond back. I would like do a voice memo, read the verse out, and then just pray for him and then just leave it. And he never, I mean, like 2 months, no responses, which was fine. Like, cool. I'm just going to pray. And I know you think I'm the crazy lady from Minnesota.
And you are.
I am.
But that's okay.
Let's just
That's
be
beside the
real.
point.
Yeah.
And so anyhow, we're going through this next step and I go and there's like a blizzard and you have to like draw blood on a certain day and all of these things. And I had to get there and I had to get to the lab to blah, blah, blah. So I make it there. It takes me like 2 hours.
Oh my gosh.
I get this blood sample out. I'm like, Drew, it's on its way.
Right.
And I'm like, we're going to find out. Like they said, it takes 2 weeks, which would have been my
Man.
birthday. And so
was Drew on a time crunch?
Drew was on a time crunch. And so this is, that's another little piece. So he was like, to be approved to be an organ, to receive an organ, you have to have these numbers that are above a certain point. Well, his numbers were below that. So the lady said, well, he's not even really approved. He has to have 6 months of these numbers to be able to. I'm like, well, let's just keep moving through the process.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that's what I was texting him, like things to bring up hope. So from the first text message and that first blood draw, when he actually, and I found this out later, not during, was the first month that his numbers were on par.
Right.
I get
Wow.
goosebumps thinking about it again. Like,
It's
so
amazing.
crazy. So all through this, so then he's like, by the time we're doing this like blood thing, it had been about 3 months. And so he had like 3 months of positive things. And it was December and I was supposed to get this result. And I knew, God had told me.
You already knew.
And I'm telling this boy, you guys, like, you're getting my kidney.
Yeah, it's
You're
on,
good.
son.
You're good. And with confidence, like you could not believe because I knew that I knew.
Right.
So, well, first that blood that I drove in the blizzard, they lost it. It never got to Atlanta.
Right.
It just disappeared.
Oh my gosh.
So I had to go again and do it. And then the test results were supposed to come in. Wait, they don't come in. And she calls me and she's like, well, we're rerunning it because there's something off with it. I'm like, what do you mean off? Like either I'm a match or I'm not.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then it was a month before we heard. And she calls me and she was like, I'm sorry, but you are off by 1 antibody. You guys are a perfect match.
What?
And I can literally remember right where I was standing. And I start crying and goosebumps all over. And I'm like, are you kidding
Are
me?
you
She's like, yeah,
sure?
we reran it. That's why we redid it.
Right.
I'm like, I have never called this boy. I cannot text him.
Hey.
Sorry.
My bad.
Sorry,
Have a
we've been
great
talking.
day.
You think you
One.
got a kidney?
Yeah.
Off by 100. Yeah, 0 to 1. I'm sorry.
And you knew what God
And
was telling you.
I knew. And I said to God, why? Like, why would you make me be this? Am I off? Am I off? And
I'd be like, do it again. Run it
Yeah.
again.
So she was telling me, like, you can do parent donation. Kind of long story short, I called him, he's like, no, ma'am, thank you. This is the first time I ever talked to him. So sweet. I could barely hear his little
How
weak
old was
voice.
Drew?
He was at this point in time in November, he had just had his 20th birthday.
Oh, I just-
Yeah, he's
So,
a kid.
and he served faithfully and he had gotten a whole round. Anyways, I can't even, he just got a rare autoimmune condition is what happened. And it started pneumonia and attacked his whole body. And they found out it was Goodpasture syndrome, which is what affected his kidneys and everything. So I tell him, look, you're not going to get my kidney, but I'm willing to donate this kidney in a paired exchange, which means they find a match for my kidney.
Okay.
And then
he
they
gets
find
it.
a match for his and we all go
Wow,
through the
you're
chain.
gangster.
And I'm like, cool.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
everybody's happy,
Right,
right, y'all?
Yeah.
Right.
Even more people help.
Works out for everybody.
And so, anyhow, we start moving this through the process. I had to go to Atlanta and do all of this blood work. I come back. This is now February, and Drew has a seizure. And it was so heartbreaking because I knew he needed this kidney as soon as possible.
Right.
Because of the medications to regulate it, it was really impacting his whole body. So anyhow, he has this seizure. Well, at the same time, I had just been in Atlanta. All my blood work was there, and he was in the hospital. All his blood work was there.
They rechecked.
They ran it.
Perfect match. She calls me and she says, look, if he hadn't been in here, nobody would have caught this.
Nobody would have known.
Who didn't catch it?
And they say it changed. God,
Possibly.
whatever. I think it was an error from the
Smack
beginning.
that lady, man.
But yeah, so
She's got me stressing over
yeah,
here.
literally. So from there, we were like, they're like, well, look, though, he had this seizure. So if his numbers in February aren't up every now month, September, October, they've all been up. But now he had this. If he doesn't, then it starts all over again.
Wow.
So we're like pins and needles. It's
Like,
the
come
middle
on,
of
Jesus, come on.
February.
Crazy.
And sure enough, he was good to go. 2 weeks later, he had my kidney, and like we're all great. Like both
And
of us,
he's
amazing. It's almost been
You've
a
met him?
decade.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
great,
yeah.
great kid.
Wow.
Just
Great.
graduated.
Yeah.
Right.
He's got a great
He's going for his
career now.
masters.
Now, how long ago was this that he?
It'll be 10 years and
Wow.
March. Yep.
So,
And both doing phenomenal.
how did you heal? Like, what was your healing process?
You know,
on
it
that?
was hard,
Right.
but it wasn't horrible. I could, I had a C-section with my daughter, and it's kind of like that. Took a little bit longer. You
Right.
had to relax.
You
Now,
can't be.
yeah, mind you, I still had my special needs daughter who couldn't even walk or do different
Yeah.
things at the time.
Holy
And so that was kind of the
Nikes.
hard thing. But
Challenge
what
you.
was interesting about it is, God was healing all along. Of course,
Right.
he's healing her and she would have progress. But by the end of all of this, she really is a miracle. And I
Wow.
believe it was,
Wow.
and now I think she still would have been healed even if I hadn't donated the kidney.
Right.
But the faithfulness of just believing, I don't care, God, you're going to pave the way. I don't know
Right.
how to do this. So I wish I could take
So you
credit.
had
The
faith the
only
whole
thing,
time.
it was just faith.
Absolutely.
That is
Faith over and over, and God just kept opening doors, and He does that.
Wow.
So
Man.
it's
That
pretty
is
cool.
amazing.
And
That's a
that's-
selfless
that's-
act.
That's great.
There's one thing to talk about it. That's a selfless act.
Well, I don't know. It does. It's worth it to
Why?
see
Well,
him.
yeah.
But it was her
that's
faith that
amazing.
got her
No,
through
no,
all
But it
that's
was.
amazing. No,
Me personally, I would have been
like,
like, "Oh heck no,
that's-
nuh-uh, I
that-
can't do it."
Yeah,
I
I
was
can't
scared of
do it.
needles. I don't even like
Wow.
to draw my blood.
Oh yeah, I hate
So
it.
many times you had, and I was like, God, I had to go in this CT scan. I was like, IV hot. I was like, how? God, give me the strength.
That,
Right.
that is
Being
an awesome
relentless.
story.
I mean,
yeah.
and
just
people
not
telling you
letting
this
go.
isn't going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, how many doctors told you
Oh,
that it wasn't
multiple
possible?
Yeah,
times.
and you
Oh.
didn't give up when it
Right.
wasn't the
Yes.
day. It
Yes.
the whole thing of our names, it all starts with a little hope. Sometimes you got to
Yes.
be relentless
That's
with it,
exactly.
and that's what you
Yes.
did. That's awesome. That is an
And that
awesome
goes to
story.
marriage,
Beautiful.
family, everything, right? Like when we give up
Everything.
Yeah,
hope, then there's
it's
no
over
hope.
with. It all starts with hope. Now, hope
Absolutely.
without habits is just hope, right?
Yes, I love when you said that.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
other week.
and that's what we've had to do. But what you did was hope with actions.
Yeah, hope
like
with
you,
action.
Drew, you said from the beginning he needed
Yep.
hope, and you start texting. So once you got invested,
Yep.
because when you start doing something with hope,
all in.
Yeah.
it's even like people that's came in my life that work for me that were on drugs and they're doing good. Like I've invested hope in them,
Yeah.
and so like you want to just see them win. So
It's
you
so
wanted,
cute.
you had to finish it.
Yeah.
That is an awesome story. I think you're probably the first person in my 51 years, good looking 51, 51 years of
I
life
didn't know.
that
I
I
didn't-
met.
I didn't know.
No, for real.
that I met that has ever maybe I've known somebody that did it maybe for their dad or something or dad did it, but
Wow.
that's
And the hope,
Man.
so one of those things with the hope that I didn't find out till after. So we didn't even meet until kidney, all of that
Right.
stuff. It was always just text messaging and the one phone call to tell him he wasn't getting a kidney to all of the stuff that happened. But he said that those messages are actually what changed everything. He just thought, how is this random stranger?
Just gonna,
Yeah, so I was going to ask you about that. So what did
He thought I was
think?
crazy. He thought he's like, I legit thought you were crazy, and there
You're a
was no way you
nutbird.
were gonna give me a kidney. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know why you were
Blowing
doing it
smoke.
at first.
why was you trying to?
Yeah,
And
what's
then-
your angle?
But then
Yeah,
you just
Yeah.
kept,
Because everybody's got an
Yes,
angle.
right,
You
right.
got an angle.
and then you just kept showing up, and I was like, it wasn't me showing up though.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
It
It
was
was
God.
like I would be
That's the
praying.
Holy
He's like,
Spirit.
send this. I'm like, oh,
And you're like, come
I
on,
don't
God.
want to. Why do I have to be the
Man,
weird
that
one?
was-
Up a fridge right now.
But you just do it and you stop worrying. I'm like, even if he thinks I'm weird, I know my heart in this.
You know your
and
motive.
God
Yeah.
knows what he needs.
Mhm.
I don't need to worry about what other people
Yeah.
think about me.
It all starts with motive.
and so
Right?
that was the bottom
And
line.
that's
But that's
something,
where
yeah.
that hope kicked
And
in.
you were obedient.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You were
Because
obedient.
there's a lot of things in the Bible, like people, I always call them Bible beaters or thumpers, like but something they always overlook is the motive that God talks
Mhm.
about. It's the motive of the heart, like the lady that gave a little bit on
Yep.
there.
Versus-
And you had,
Mhm.
there was no motive
Right.
but to help somebody.
Right.
And when you get like that, God, that gets everything out of the
Moves
way.
mountains.
And then God can do
Moves
it,
mountains.
God can do it. Now,
Mhm.
we're rounding up on time here. What I want to now, so I know that neither one of you were Christians. I mean, obviously we've all.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not
Yeah,
saying
yeah,
you
yeah.
didn't know Jesus
Yeah.
or you didn't. I don't know what.
We're
You were a
actively-
Mormon, obviously. So so when did you guys sell out to God? Like when did God come in the transformation and you think, hey, you know what, we're gonna, serve God? And was this pre you guys got together?
Yeah, for me,
or
it was
after you got
pre.
together?
Yeah.
It was before my daughter, and I was baptized in water in 2007.
So you kind of made the
And
change.
there was still lots of work.
Well,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
still lots of work
That's
on
just
me
the
right
beginning
now. There was lots of
work.
work on me and traffic on the way here.
Yeah.
You stupid mom truck.
But that was where, and it's really just continuing to progress from
Yeah.
there, right?
So you had
Mhm.
started an intimate
Mhm.
relationship with Jesus,
Yeah.
rededicated your life or whatever, whatever the thing is. Now,
Mhm.
what about you? Because
I
you
mean,
come
I'm-
from the Mormon.
yeah,
So
so
how does
I'm
that go?
kind of a newbie.
Yeah.
I've always known that God
Right.
was there or some kind of a higher
Entity.
power.
right.
I went to live in Alaska
Mhm.
after high school.
Right.
And I was 19 years old. I was 18 years
Would
old.
you go out there and work?
Oh, I went out there and worked at Denali Park.
I
Yeah.
almost went to Alaska to work one time when I was
Did you?
about 22
I'd like to
too.
go to
I-
Alaska.
I was
Me
going to
too.
go out
Just
there.
to
My
see
buddy
it.
was out there
Right?
working, and
I don't wanna
doing
live
all-
there.
I
No,
almost
yep.
went out there, but I didn't.
Yeah.
But I
So
figured-
that's the first time I found God since I was a Mormon.
right.
And I took trips on faith, and I mean, I have a lot of crazy stories about that time in my life.
Right.
And then I got back and kind of fell off,
Right.
and kind of got back on the wagon.
We all
again.
do. We all
Right.
do.
And then I'm
Done a
going
lot.
through my struggles with
Yeah.
my personal life, my wife, and all this and that,
Right.
and nobody really. I didn't have that base. There was my mom,
Yeah.
but none of my sisters.
Right. You didn't have
really-
that spiritual base
yeah,
or that
yeah.
foundation.
Nobody
they
was
call
like,
it.
"Hey, why don't you try this out?
Right,
This
right.
might work."
Yeah.
Right.
Or if they did, I just kind of brushed it off.
didn't
But
listen.
Amanda, we got together, and I think it was 2019, maybe
When we got together?
No, that
When-
I got baptized.
That was 21.
21.
Yeah, 21.
Uh,
August 13th or August 18th. Or something.
That's
21.
like,
Yeah, I get it.
She knows all.
Yeah, same thing.
So, anyways,
That's why I got her.
she didn't pressure me or anything. She
Right.
wasn't bugging me to
All
go to
God.
church. Or
She let
anything
you
like that.
make that.
Yeah.
She
That's
didn't
how
be
it
like,
has
if you're
to
going to
be.
be
Yep.
me, you better serve
Yep.
God, because then it's half-hearted.
Right.
Yeah.
It is.
Yep.
So, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. So it had kind of been on my heart, and I got an email from a church. It was a
Our
church.
where I went.
Yeah,
Mhm,
where she
Westford.
went. I must have signed up for something one time when I went there,
Right.
and it just came in my mind. Went,
God
I
just
wonder if I
dropped
should
it.
get baptized. And then I
Yeah.
opened up my email, and then there was an email.
That-
right
See,
there.
they're
First
smart
one.
like
that's
that.
God sending
Yep.
you an email, man.
Yep.
Mhm.
Baptism, on August 13th or whatever it was.
Right.
And I said, all right, well, I guess that's.
And I just would pray, like, even when we first started dating, because he was kind of like indifferent, I
Right.
would say, on God. And I was just like, God, do your work.
Yeah,
Like
let God
open
I
your
can
mouth.
see
You
his
let
heart
God
and
do
his
it.
energy and
You've
like
seen
his
the long
love.
term. You've seen the
Yes.
long
Yeah,
term.
and just
You've seen
love
the
on
inside.
everybody,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Love on
Yeah.
everybody. That's what we're called.
And
to
God
do.
is love. I mean, it's that
Yeah,
simple. You know?
and
From a non-Christian perspective, Jesus was always a mystery to me.
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody ever explained to me
Yeah.
what Jesus was about, what he stood for. Even growing up Mormon, I didn't know anything about Jesus.
Jesus,
Right.
right.
Even though they're a Christian religion and all
I
this
get
and
it.
that,
Yeah.
I didn't start learning
Having a
about Jesus
relationship.
until recently.
Right.
And really, I had to dig into it.
That's right.
And that's the
Because it's
best.
your
Right.
relationship.
Right, because it's my
Yes,
relationship,
absolutely.
and I had to dig into it, and all of a sudden the Bible starts revealing itself
You're
to
like,
Making
me.
whoa.
sense. Yeah.
There's so many other things
So
out
cool.
there now that
Oh,
can
yeah.
help you learn about it, and I
Mhm.
really
yeah.
took hold of those resources,
That's awesome.
and it's just opened my eyes. I'm like, why isn't everybody doing it?
Yeah.
Right?
You know,
You
it's
know?
crazy. You know, some people say, you know, like, you know, from the way I lived and I was wild. And everybody knew my mom was always kind of the church lady in my neighborhood. Like they'd pull up, people hide their guns and stuff. Like, no, but they called her gangbusters. But, you know, they'd always be like, oh man, you know, but now people are like, oh, you really believe that? And I said, listen, man, one thing about the Bible is it'll teach you how to be a good husband, a good father, a good businessman.
Good
You don't lie,
person.
you don't steal, you don't.
Yep.
Even if you know your best motivational speakers, his principles and stuff come
All
from
of
Jesus.
it.
Jesus
Yeah.
was the ultimate
Amen.
motivator.
Yeah.
It's
So-
so true.
It is.
So, like you said, when you really get a hold of it, you're like, bro. Again, does that mean your life's perfect? No.
No.
Whether you serve God or live a good life, you get flat tires and cars
Yeah.
get wrecked
Right,
and people
yeah.
die
Yeah.
and things happen. You know, and once you get a hold of it, you're like, you know. Why didn't I do this before? The whole world could just be a
Oh,
better
man.
place if we just live by
If we all
this.
just
If
live
we
by
just live by this,
So
we can be a
true.
better place, you know?
Exactly.
And that's awesome. Well, listen, guys, we appreciate you coming in and
Thanks for
sharing your
having me.
story.
Yes.
It's been fun. It's been awesome. Now this is where the part where you get to plug it. Now I know you got a business too. Now you don't
Right.
just do the nautical bowls, right?
He's kind of shifted a
He's
little
shifted.
bit more
Yeah, I
focused
do.
on
I do
nautical bowls 'cause
concrete
of
jobs.
You do
Seizure.
I
concrete?
got a small crew. We
Right.
pick up concrete now.
Yeah.
And it's called
Yeah.
American Concrete.
Yeah,
Experts.
American.
Man.
We'll put that in there too, man. I mean,
I'd really like to give a shout out to Big Brothers Big Sisters.
yeah, give
Come on.
shout
There's
out
kind of
to
a endemic going on right now
Yeah.
with young boys
yeah,
that
Yes.
need
That don't have
father
father
figures.
yeah.
And
That's
I
good.
recently
Man.
reached out to them and signed up.
That's
and they
awesome, bro.
Were like, look, we
Wow.
don't. I mean,
Tim's a
it's-
big brother.
It's
Yeah.
I think-
awesome.
Yeah.
They,
They said there's a huge shortage.
it's
Yeah.
great
Wow.
to give to us financially, but what we need are men
Our
Yeah.
men.
to be role models for these boys out there.
That's what's wrong with the world, my
Yes.
guy. Why
Yes.
does a guy watch a pregnant lady walk
No.
into Walmart and cut
And
in
not
front of
even-
her and
yeah.
cut her off because he didn't have a dad to go, hey, boy,
Yeah.
act like
Right.
you got some sense when you. I mean,
Hold the
those
door.
values are
Come
gone
on.
because if they can
I'll play.
take the man out of the house,
Yep.
then you got you fatherless sons,
The
right?
whole
And
They're not
that's
doing
why
anything.
they don't
running
know.
amok.
They don't know how to work. They
Yep.
don't know how to act. They don't know how to treat a woman. They don't know how to treat finances.
Yep.
So that I commend you for taking the time
Yeah,
and
wow.
sign up and do that.
That's awesome.
Nautical Bowls, there will be a link,
Yes.
but there's a link in all of our podcasts. So if
Yeah.
you're not watching this, you click, there's always one.
Everything's customizable.
They make it, they do
So good.
it. Awesome people, support your local people.
Yes.
Yes.
Come to the local people
Local
that own it.
businesses.
Yes,
I
please.
mean, whether it's a chain, but this is the locally owned,
Right.
so you come to them, and I'm big on that. Like people go, but I go to Tropical Smoothie, and nothing against Tropical Smoothie, but I would go to Nautical
Okay.
Bowls
Oh,
every day if
yeah.
I lived in
I
Naples.
appreciate that.
And that's
Absolutely.
facts. You
And
know
I'm
what I
always
mean?
like, there's more to go around. Just try different
Oh,
things.
no,
Just go in,
yeah.
support all the businesses.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
you know, and especially like healthy options out there. Like we are trying to survive, but it's hard
It's
to go
hard.
up against
It's
some
so
of like
hard.
the Culvers and the
Yeah.
when you
those
even like in
the
our
fast.
city,
Mhm.
like
Yeah,
in our
fast
city, you
food.
know, we got displaced after the hurricane, so we had to move to Lehigh, and nothing against Lehigh except the drivers suck and people on motorcycles.
No
See
cap.
motorcycles, I did barely
Oh,
see them when they cut me
wow.
off and went around. Okay,
So
that'll get me
scary.
going, but I'll lose my Christianity. but there's nothing healthy to eat. Like you know how
Right
many
now.
times we leave the gym. And the other day we were leaving the gym, and I think you and her had been texting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She goes, "Why can't we be
Right
by
there.
Nautical Bowls
I
right now?"
know.
Like because
Yeah.
we're like, we'll go Subway.
I know.
Like, you know what I mean?
What
Like
are
there's a
the
Subway and
options? So
McDonald's and a
limited.
Dunkin'
It's very
Donut.
limited.
And then where am I going to go? You know,
Perkins.
and healthy stuff gets overlooked or gets a
Yeah.
bad rap. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, when
And
I ate this thing.
Oh, you were
you
full.
ain't knowing it's healthy. It tastes great and you're full, and that's
full.
facts.
And you got so many nutrients
So-
on
Come
on,
top
you
of
put
it.
some
So
good
that's
stuff
it.
in.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and it's Relentless Hope approved.
Yeah.
We love you
Yes,
guys.
Lord.
Thank
We
you
love
guys
you
for coming in.
too.
And it's
Alright.
just the beginning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We don't believe, the
Ditto.
thing about the Relentless Hope podcast, and when we get people like, and I say this before, and people, there's a lot of people that are, whenever people see that if something's growing, they kind of want to be part of it.
Mhm.
That might not have answered your calls or might not, whatever. and it's funny because
That's all good.
That's so
we
funny.
are enthralled by couple stories
Mhm.
because we're all about couples. And
Right.
and what you guys are is a miracle, okay?
Yeah.
And why I say that is you could have been like, well, hey, I'm not. She's kind of the Jesus girl now, and she's cool, but I already been married. If you want to do this, whatever. No, you seen something different in her.
Mhm.
You wanted something different because very few people, men and women, can live alone. That's not how God really designed it.
Not how God
Okay?
intended it.
God designed it to have a helper. And the helper in the Bible is called the Holy Spirit. But the helper is her. Because I'm going to tell you right now,
As her
when she
angel.
says these words to me, I don't trust him. Like if there's a worker
Oh,
or,
yeah.
or a person comes in our life, she's the helper. Because a lot of times I overlook
See
it,
it.
and he's telling her to help
You
me.
trust
And she
everyone.
keeps me out of stuff, right? Yeah. And what I'm saying is you've seen something. So you guys, what you're doing, how you're living your marriage and how you've surrendered it to God and what you're and surrendered to each other is breaking off for your children.
Yes, amen.
See, so when
Come
your
on.
children get married, they
I
go,
receive that.
Yep.
like on my kids, I say, hey, listen, Jackson, I don't want you to be like me, buddy,
Yeah.
because I had no clue. Nobody taught me about how you should do this. I had distorted stuff that I learned, but I break this off on you. So when you get
Never.
married, you'll be married to the same woman, have the same kids, and do it the way
Right.
God intended it.
Right.
And so
That's so
it's
powerful.
easy for me to go, well, I've had people say, David's married again. Now he's doing a podcast talking about marriage. You know this guy? He's
Better
probably got
listen.
47 tattoos he had to cover up. But the thing is, I'll say it and I'll say it again. Marriage, God's way, works 100% of the time. And that's what you guys are doing.
Yes.
So when I see you guys, your faces are bright because it's the Lord in you,
Yes.
but it's also your marriage, and I see it. So, man, we commend you guys. We need more business owners. We need
Yes.
more big brothers. We need more
Yes.
healthy place. So get to Nautical Bowls
Yes.
right now.
Oh,
Tell your
Yes.
friends.
Awesome.
And we love you guys. We're out.
Love
Don't
you.
forget
Thanks for
about
having
these
us.
Neven eyewear. Now, I didn't put them on. Now, these called Tangos and Cashes.
They're pretty cool.
Look at those.
Aren't
Put
they?
you on.
Wow.
Put,
Put some
a set
on,
there on. Let me
right?
see what those
Wow.
look
He's
like.
obsessed
Look, he
with
said, wow.
Look at this.
sunglasses.
Come
Oh,
on.
I got you a pair, but you can have those if you want to.
Oh.
But I brought you a pair. I brought you can have those, but I brought him
You like
some other
those?
ones. I'll let you see the other ones too, but you can have
Yeah,
whichever.
Aw,
But these
that's
things are
okay.
fire. They're one of our affiliates and sponsors. I mean, there's 3 for 80, 3 pairs for 80.
Cannot go wrong.
If you break them, lose them, they replace them. Florida-based company, Neven Eyewear.
Yeah.
Also, Flyfit tees. We wear Flyfit tees. We're rocking the Clean Call shirts today because it's sober month. So they sent us some sober tees, it says on the back. We love you guys. Like, share, subscribe. Nautical Bowls, Relentless Hope Music. Go get you some shirts. My kids need braces. No, I just
Braces.
we love you. D-Money, we love you. We're out. Peace.
Yeah.